Hello, dear viewer. How are you doing today? Are you doing good? Because you are about to have a better day with my video. Now, I'll sort of explain what I'm making later on when I have the chance, but for right now, we're going to hop right into it by making a snowball, or well, like a white sphere, I guess. I also cut the video so you'll never figure out how I made this weird body shape because I want him to be sort of rotund, you know, sort of thick, girthy. That's my sort of aim for this. And now we got ourselves a nice looking torso for our body. Okay, so while I'm making this in the background, let me sort of explain what's going on here. So this guy's from Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, but that's way too long of a name, so you can shorten it to SMT5 Vengeance or however, whatever, right? And so in the game you play as this thing called the nahobee-ho, and this guy is a Jack Frost and he wants to imitate you, so this is why he looks kind of like your player character. So today I'm making this version of the Jack Frost because I think he looks funny and cool. Now that we've got our deformed snowball, I'm going to go ahead and check the size compared to the body because I don't want to tell you, man. The first video I tried to make, it was on SMT as well. I tried to make the player character. It did not go well. It did not. So I'm going to make sure that does not happen again. Now it's time to turn this head into a functioning snowball. And you might be wondering, why aren't you starting with the top of the head and just sort of going around like that? And the reason is because making sort of spherical shapes out of pipe cleaner is a little new to me, so I'll have to get used to that, but nonetheless we will patch that up. Alright, after making the perfect snowball, I have decided to try and patch up the head by giving him a little bit of a toupee to match his skin, but I don't really like how it turned out, so we'll just patch that up later with some of his hair. As usual, I'll just keep wrapping around the torso until I make it look good and nice and hardy. And booyah, I did it. Or so I thought. But when I look at it, he looks a little too actually good. I have to make him plumper. He's just not. He needs to eat some more honey buns. That's what he needs to do. Now that I've given him the Santa body that I want, it's time to actually start making some limbs. And actually, since this guy's so small, I decided to only make one of each of his limbs. So he'll only have very short limbs, much like in game. I decided to use a new technique to make the feet and the legs and arms and all that stuff since he's so short. I'll then start making his arms, which you can barely tell are actually arms, but they'll look good on his body later. So let's put some detail on that snowball baldy head of his. Now I wanted to make the eyes first, but I decided to make the mouth first because I hate doing eyes. And it's essentially just this black semicircle, and then I added two little things on there to show his buck teeth. These little peas were also supposed to be part of his eyes, but I decided to revise it when I was just about to put it on the face, and I think it came out better that way. Look at this guy. Doesn't he look so evil and mischievous, but also very nice and cute? Now this is the power of the Atlas mascot. And if you actually look at his design, you can sort of see his blue is sort of encroaching upon his face. So I wanted to make every little bit of detail that I could with that. Next, I want to make these little things covering his ear. And actually, since I made the main character before, I sort of know how the whole face goes. And look at this boy's face, man. Now he is coming together finally. He is starting to come together. But he's still bald though. Afterwards, I start making his hands because those things are going to be absolutely humongous compared to his body. Which actually his body is humongous anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, I make his hand with this sort of very light blue because in the game his hands are shining with light blue, so this was about the lightest I could get it. Unfortunately, it does not glow in the dark, but hey, gotta take what you can get, you know? After giving him the cheese touch but the blue version, I decided to actually start doing the hard part, which is the details, because this guy has a lot of details on his body. Luckily, they're all one color and they are relatively easy to recreate in pipe cleaner form. So I'll start with covering his sort of thumb, and then I'll cover both of his fingers, and then bring it up and circle it around and do all this and that. Now I want to do the same thing with the other hand, but I decided to have a different idea, and if you saw the thumbnail, you already know. And after all the details on the arm were made, it was time for the hand, baby. Which is a laser sword, or a shovel, depending on how you look at it. And I rapped until I finished his weapon of mass destruction, and now he can kill all of his enemies. And now with this finished, it was time to see the final product. Well, not actually the final product, but we have all the pieces together, so let's see a general overview of how this guy's going to look. Oh my goodness. He's already coming together, and I haven't even done anything to the torso or the legs yet. His legs are sort of detailed like his hands, so I reckon that if I could do one, I could do the other. And I think I was right. Just because I was right doesn't mean that it was easy though, but it was still pretty easy. I don't know how or what those things are at the bottom of his feet, but they're like blue heel things. I don't know, but I gotta make them because those are part of his design, even though I don't know how I'm gonna make him stand up right now. The only thing left now is his torso, so I don't even know what that is at the top of his torso, but I gotta make it as part of his design. Time to make the deep dark details on his torso as well. And these little white lines and strips, man, I think they came out alright, but they sort of ended up collaging together to form this huge glob of white, which is alright, but Then I used the light blue to show the glowing light in his armor, cause man, that armor looks cool with that glowing light. I then put the rest of the light blue on him as best I can, and with that, I think it's about time to mount everything else on him. Now that we've got everybody, Avengers assemble! I really take my time mounting the legs because these are very important to stability, I've learned, obviously. I also mount the arms and sort of position them the way I want them to and lock it in. And look at that, our little boy is complete, but not really because he needs his hair. So let's go ahead and give him his bangs and whatnot, and then make his flowing locks. Now I've thought about how to do this, but I believe the best way to do it is to just fold it back like this and do it like that and let it flow like that, you know? I mean, surely you guys know, right? Like, you know what I'm saying, right? But yes, and so with that, our creation is done, people. So let's go ahead do some final shots at it, and ask you to subscribe. Call to action, people. Well. We are back. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Look at him. He's pointing at you. Subscribe because I look awesome. Um yeah. I mean, I'm glad I was able to at least do something from this game because man, making the main character before, that was just rough. I'll see if I have like a picture of his head or something. Man, man, I'm not going back. I'm not gonna make him. I'm not doing it. But nonetheless, I'm glad you enjoyed. Even though he looks silly and he looks funny, but he looks cool. He looks like all the above. Um, I'm glad you're watching. I'm glad you like it.
Please subscribe. You and I are awesome.